your testimony. I hand it back, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Senator Ricketts?
Great. Thank you, Chair. First of all, folks, I want to say thank you to all of you for your service to our country. And I know that in the Foreign Service that you spend a lot of time away from your friends and family in this country, that you represent our nation. And just as governor, I've had the opportunity to interface with a lot of folks when I was on trade mission. I just want to let you know how much we appreciate the sacrifice that you and your families make to be able to serve our country. So thank you very much. And Mr. Stimler, I want to give a special shout out to you since you grew up in Nebraska and Omaha. And I think you still got family in Omaha as well. So that's fantastic. Thanks. In recent years, Beijing has increasingly positioned itself as the public safety and policing partner of choice in the Pacific nations, or with the Pacific nations. Last week at a forum on China-Pacific Island police cooperation, the PRC's Minister of Public Security called for a new chapter of law enforcement cooperation with Pacific Island nations. And just having somebody, the Minister of Public Security from a communist dictatorship, saying new chapters sounds very ominous and Orwellian. And of course, this makes sense because given that in August, Samoa opened a new police academy that was funded and built for by the PRC. This is concerning given that Beijing's views of policing cooperation as an area where it can compete for influence, gather intelligence, and surveil the local Chinese population. And of course, we know what they're trying to do without even having these sorts of relationships even in our own country here. Mr. Holzsnyder, how concerned are you with the PRC's malign influence in Samoa and in areas of policing elsewhere? And if confirmed, what would be your plans to be able to address it?
Thank you, Senator, for the question. Absolutely agree that there is a intense need to focus on law enforcement cooperation in Samoa. So far, we've done enormously good work with like-minded partners, with New Zealand, with Australia, with others. Our Bureau of International Narcotics and Law Enforcement has a number of programs underway. The Coast Guard Shipwrighter Agreement that was recently renewed is a great way for us to expand Samoa's policing capability to the maritime domain. But there is absolutely more that we can do, Senator. And so if confirmed, I will prioritize that, as well as addressing some of the malign messaging that's coming out of the PRC and some of the focus on law enforcement.
Do you feel like we have a good lines of communication, good cooperation going on with Australia and New Zealand on this matter?
I do, Senator.
Great. At the Pacific Islands Forum last month in Tonga, leaders endorsed a regional policing initiative funded by Australia. The initiative included establishing a training center in Brisbane, 4 skills centers across the Pacific, and a force of about 200 police officers that could be deployed across the region to deal with natural disasters or other emergencies. How important is this initiative to push back against the PRC efforts to increase its security and policing ties with the Pacific Island countries?
Thank you, Senator, for the question. Our cooperation and coordination with our like-minded colleagues from Australia, from New Zealand, from Japan, incredibly important in the Pacific. It was with great interest and I think enthusiasm that many of us read about that recent agreement. Hopefully we'll be able to expand other law enforcement and coordination and cooperation efforts with like-minded partners. But absolutely agree, Senator, very important.
Great, thank you. The Chinese Communist Party is seeking, above all, to reunify Taiwan without resorting to armed forces. As a result, one of the Communist Party's objectives is to isolate Taiwan diplomatically. Since 1949, the CCP and Taiwan have been locked in a battle for diplomatic recognition, with the CCP spending billions to win recognition for its one China policy. Today, Taiwan has only 12 countries that it has formal relations with, including Eswatini. Just last week, Eswatini was the only one of Africa's 54 countries that declined to attend the Triennial China-Africa Summit in Beijing. However, there are reports the PRC is building up its business and economic interest in Eswatini in a sign that Taiwan's last African ally is gradually pivoting toward Beijing. Mr. McIntyre, given the economic and political leverage the PRC holds over many African nations, if confirmed, what actions will you take to ensure that Eswatini balances these pressures and maintains its long-standing partnership with Taiwan?
Senator, thank you for that question. If confirmed, the relations with Taiwan, Eswatini's commitment to maintain those relations will be one of my top priorities. I've seen the pressure firsthand that China exerts on small countries through my time in the Caribbean. You have to be open and honest about that. You have to speak publicly and privately with the host government and with citizens as well. People need to know exactly what is or isn't going to happen as you increase relations with the Communist Chinese Party. the pressure is great, but I do think that the government of Eswatini can rely on me, if confirmed as an ambassador, to be an engaged partner in discussing these matters.
Is there more we can do to help Eswatini be able to stand up to the PRC and support them? Is there other things we should be doing to be able to make sure that we're helping them out and keeping that relationship with Taiwan?
Sure. I thank you for the question, Senator. Again, if confirmed as ambassador, I would like to see us expand our programs and priorities. There's a number of areas where the Chinese tend to concentrate, whether it be telecommunications, infrastructure, business development, whatever we can do to promote our interests there along those lines, I think would be great. But to be very frank, from my experience in the Caribbean, I think a lot of it is just speaking frankly about what's going on, showing the information. I think once people realize what the real truth is, it's there in front of them.
So
Thank you.
Sunlight's the best antiseptic to fight the PRC's corruption?
Amen.
Great.
Thank you, sir.
Ms. McIntyre.
And the